Welcome to What Lies Ahead. I'm your host, Chris Ruffini, lead singer of the Long Island band Overthrow. On my podcast, I explore everything related to the hardcore scene through the eyes of artists, promoters, and record labels. As always, please like or subscribe on all social media platforms. Today's guest is Mike Bruno, bassist for Iron Chic, a melodic punk band from Long Island known for their emotionally resonant lyrics, anthemic courses, and raw delivery. He's also in Adult Magic, who will have a few powerful releases out. But his impact goes beyond both bands. He also runs Dead Broke Rekerds, an independent label that's been releasing underground music and supporting artists for over 2 decades. Mike, thanks for coming on, man. How's it going?
Hey, what's up, Chris? Thanks for having me, man.
Going on, man? Known you for a little while, actually. You put together the Wild Fest, which was always an amazing benefit show. Great cause for Rob McAllister and his family. We're really honored to be part of Wild Fest 4. I know there was, I think in 16 also you reached out and we just couldn't get the guys together, unfortunately, to do it. But we were honored to get together for Wild Fest 4. That was always an amazing cause at the old AMH. That was back in 2019, which is so crazy. That's like a really long time ago. It doesn't feel like it.
Wow. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, but that was always again a fun benefit to play for a great cause. So that was I just really wanted to start off again by just thanking you for asking us to do that.
Yeah, of course, man. It was important to have bands that I knew were in the same world as us and Rob. And, like I told you, I have a lot of memories growing up seeing you guys and stuff like that. So it was on my short list of bands to get to do a reunion for Wild Fest from Long Island for sure.
It was, yeah, appreciated. So whether people hearing this or not, like that kind of sparked where the band is now for us in terms of where we're at. So older now, it takes a little longer. Obviously, it's about 6 years later, but we're finally moving along. But that really kind of put it into gear for us with it. So thanks again for putting us on that one. But
Of course, man.
yeah, but let's talk about you. So where really did it start with you? Because you have like, it's almost like I look at it as like a three-prong way to speak to you, man, with the two bands. And then obviously we'll talk your label. Um, but where did it start in terms of your interest in music? Where you remember starting listening to music, then built into hardcore, and then playing an instrument, like where that all led, and then your first show to where you're at right now.
It's hard to pinpoint exactly, but I think like a lot of people's story is my best friend's older brother. He got me into a lot of music, and it's probably how I heard my first like Punkorama comp or whatever it was. And I remember him getting me into The Cure, and we were really into Green Day. Green Day is like the band that kind of started my love for music. I was definitely a child of the Dookie wave, and that was kind of like my intro to really loving music.
I
My
still love
own,
that record.
yeah,
Still a great album.
my own music. So yeah, just like getting into the, kind of like I guess you would call it mainstream punk, like NoFX and stuff like that from Punkorama comps and stuff like that, and then really later on finding the local scene by a girl from school giving me her brother's band's demo tape, and I think that was the first time I realized that you could like kind of do it on your own, and that was Super Matchbox, this old pop punk band from the 90s.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean it's hard to pinpoint exactly, but yeah, a couple pretty influential people, early on.
Yeah, so it led. So that obviously kept leading. Do you remember your first show and how you got there?
Yeah,
What ended up you get? How did you end up getting there? Like, how does that happen?
well, I was just talking to my wife about this because I've known her that long that I think my first show was an Embarrassing Rex show, where I met up with to hang out with her. Actually, so that was probably like, oh, I don't know, seventh grade, something like that. Uh, yeah, and then the Roadhouse Pub, that was like my early stomping ground, being from Holbrook. Just seeing a lot of local shows there were really, really formative for me, and really my intro into doing it. And same thing with the best friend and his older brother. We just kind of started jamming around. They needed a bass player. I wanted to play guitar, but they needed a bass player. So yes, I bought a bass and Yeah, that's it. Like
That's been
just
ever since, right?
yeah,
So
pretty much.
so I guess around that time, you were around high school at that point in time as you're going?
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably around seventh or eighth grade, like junior
Oh,
high school. Yeah, junior high school. Yeah.
okay. So it's building from there. You're going to shows, your VFWs. Did you go to Deja One? Was that at that point, or was that a little
Yeah,
bit?
I definitely went to some Deja shows. The VFW and the Hall shows were definitely a big part of it for me too. A lot of that, like when I started to get into hardcore and stuff like that, because I kind of jumped around trying to find my place within the punk scene. Seeing the pop punk bands, and then I started getting really into hardcore. And I remember seeing you guys at halls with like Sick of It All or Indecision
Mhm.
and Hoods and bands like that. You know what I mean? Uh, but yeah, and then later on came the house shows.
Yeah. So before she started, and then it started at '08 is my give or take, but I think yeah, it had a
Yeah,
couple years
yeah.
prior.
They actually started '07.
Okay.
I would say I joined the band. It's hard to pinpoint exactly, but I think it's '09. Okay, so they
Well,
were they were
in the
around
beginning.
for a year or two, and I was good friends with Phil. I was listening to a lot of Librano's bands growing up, Explosivo and things like that, and yeah, they were on my label. We put out the demo on the cassette tape. I did their first 7-inch. I was in a band playing in a band called Jonesin that had
Mhm.
just formed from the ashes of a band Down the Dumps that we did for a while, which was like my first touring band, kind of like a Crimpshrine ripoff type band.
Mhm.
And we Jones and went on tour with Iron Chic. We took them on tour. That's on their first tour and stuff like that in my van, and so I had a pretty close history and relationship with the band even before I joined.
Yeah, it sounds
Uh,
like it. Mhm.
yeah, and then '09 I joined after their bass player left. It was supposed to be just filling in for one show at Fest, and yeah, here we
Almost
here
20 years
we
later.
yeah, almost, yeah, almost.
Yeah. So that's great. So you've been in the band, I'd say '09, give or take, and then it obviously becomes permanent, after that. Um, what was, I guess we'll jump into it a little bit, and it could change because you guys put three LPs out or three records out. You've had a bunch of EPs. You've even put out, some of that too. Moving forward. So, what it was is the writing process like for you guys in terms of when you come together to write a record, right? Like, so you have Not Like This, you have the Constant One on Bridge 9. Were you guys writing for a record at the time, or did you kind of have songs written and then once it came together with the record deal, you're like, okay, let's get moving on and then let's start writing.
It's a pretty unique process, I'd say, the songwriting process with Iron Chic. I don't think it's any band I've ever been in is kind of written like this band. I would say every record was intentionally written as a record, yes, rather than just writing songs. Like the first album was definitely a conscious decision to make an album after an EP and a single or whatever there was. Um, but yeah, it's usually Phil's riff. You know what I mean? Phil comes with the song. He's the main songwriter in the band.
Mm-hmm.
And we all kind of write our parts and kind of put it together, and we just demo songs, okay, with no vocals, no lyrics. Some of the albums have had 60 demos that we weeded through
Wow.
to get to the final songs, and then Librano comes with Phil and like writes lyrics and words to the demos, and they kind of like pick out the demos that they like. Sometimes we'll go back and change the key. But yeah, it's a very unique process that I don't think any other band I've been in has written songs like that. But it's cool, yeah. But it's mainly Phil's riffs and Librano's lyrics. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And it's super catchy too. Like I said in the intro, and so is the music. It's like you hear it once, you feel like you heard the song a bunch of times already in an amazing way. So just quickly with Jason, when he comes in, so it sounds like it's almost like somewhat of a full-fledged song, and then he'll provide the lyrics and the cadence over the music, and then work from there to like a chorus and then a hook or something along those lines.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's generally pretty quick to come up with melodies and stuff like that. And, I've always been a fan of his lyrics and stuff like that, even
Yeah.
before I was in the band, just his old bands and stuff like that. So, him and Phil just work really well together on stuff like that. It's pretty collaborative too with Phil with the vocal stuff, whether it's melodies and stuff. And I said sometimes we'll go back and change the key of the song if it works better for his range or whatever it is. But yeah, it's interesting, definitely. So like I said, some of the records we had, 50, 60 demos.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like,
You still have those laying around somewhere?
I mean, probably they're somewhere. I mean, they're probably lost in the sands of time. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're laying around somewhere. Sometimes some of them will get used in different fashions, B sides and stuff like that. The last record we didn't have a real influx of leftover stuff, and we did have our I think 4 or 5 B sides that we released from the last album on the split we did with Toys That Kill, which was like a split LP.
Right.
But that was just like 5 tracks left over from the record. But yeah. So yeah, it's been a while. So hopefully, we've been writing and working towards a record for a long time. So hopefully it
Soon.
will eventually come. Yeah.
That was actually kind of answered my next question, but it sounds like you have a lot. Iron Chic has a lot of ideas, a lot of songs. It sounds like it comes pretty naturally to it. Like it's not difficult to be coming up with this thing. It's almost like sounds like you have so much. Some of it doesn't make it, right? So some of
A
them you
lot
did,
of it doesn't
yeah,
make it.
you
Yeah,
did B
even
sides.
if say even if we write, you know, I don't know, 12, 15 songs for an album at the last minute, Phil will always go back and write a couple fresh ones, that nicks a couple other ones out. There's always that too. But yeah, I mean, there's we track it and record it usually pretty fast. Like the tracking process is usually like a weekend or two,
Okay.
live tracking the record, and then we do a lot of layers of backups and stuff like that. But generally the scratch guitar tracks and the bass and the drums are like live. So it's like, and we recorded at Phil's house forever, and even the last couple songs we did, we recorded it here in my basement. So when we have it ready, it comes together pretty quick. Yeah.
That's great. So there's definitely songs lying around that you just guys didn't use at all, right? There's probably this guy has to be so
Oh
many.
yeah, I would say most of them are just instrumental.
Okay.
I would
Any
say
songs that you would I'm jumping ahead because I'm gonna ask you about your set lists and stuff, but any songs that you've played live that you could recall, that you've never released before? Not that they're new, like a new song, like something that,
no,
no,
no. If it didn't make it out of the basement, it never had
it never
words
comes
or
up.
whatever. It would never. It was. I would call them more ideas than songs.
Cool.
Really, 60 ideas for a record or demos of ideas or whatever. Again, a lot of them are never finished songs. So
So how do you guys when you're coming like a full record? So it's obviously the last one, You Can't Stay Here, which was like 17, I believe,
yeah,
2017, right?
yeah.
Or even if you look at that one, for example. So a new album's coming soon, right? So, but for an album like that, or even if you go back to like the constant one, but how do you guys structure your album track list? Do you all right, we need an opener to kick off, and then we have the second song. Do you look at, if you have 10 songs on the record, the sixth song is the song that you want a good song to kick off side B of the vinyl? You guys look into that kind of stuff when you're setting up
Yeah,
the album?
definitely. I mean, Phil has a really good knack for that. It comes pretty naturally to him. Even like all of us have all of our other bands. Like it's a crazy incestuous family tree of bands between
Hmm.
the 5 of us. You know what I mean? There's so many dozens of bands, and pretty much all of our bands have recorded with Phil. So it's like even now, my other band, Adult Magic, who Jesse from Iron Chic also who plays guitar is in Adult Magic too. We just finished recording a whole album here, and Phil. as much as he records it, he really helps produce. He knows what we like. He knows what we want to sound like. He'll help, even be like, Phil, what do you hear for the first track of this record and stuff. But yeah, I think definitely having me in the band, the record guy, we definitely think about, oh, the first track on side B and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Then maybe some other people might not. I don't know. But
Mhm.
yeah, Phil has a pretty good knack for that. He really does.
Do you feel like when you were putting the album track list together that you knew automatically what would be the first song? Sometimes you just know, or and then
Sometimes,
yeah.
yeah, sometimes I think now just even happening with the new Adult Magic record, I think it was one I didn't see at all as an
Mm.
opening track. So sometimes it comes like that where I just have to. Everything's pretty collaborative with all the bands too. Like so it's like sometimes you just need somebody else to put a weird idea in your head that you might not have thought about. We're trying to go into everything completely open-minded and hear everybody's idea always.
Cool. And it sounds like you do that. So do you guys do the same thing when you create your set lists? Because when you go out and tour and play, you just had a show at it won't be just be when this comes out, but you played Sand City about a week and a half ago. It looked awesome. I was disappointed I couldn't make it, but it looked like I saw clips of it and stuff. It looked great. So when you guys are putting together your set list, you have 3 full lengths, you have numerous EPs, singles, you have all that kind of stuff. How do you go about structuring your set list? Do you guys like adjusting it? I mean, you guys have some
uh,
songs. You have some
we,
songs you have to play. You do.
we
You
pretty
got, you
much
got a lot of like anthems there, but how do you go about that?
we pretty much play like an amalgamation of like the same 20 songs.
A
You know what I mean?
lot of songs though.
Every once in a while we'll throw a couple in there, or if we have a new one. And I'd say now probably it's 25, since we have a couple newer songs that we've been playing and stuff like that. And we usually have a cover or two on the back burner to pull out at any given time. But yeah, generally we don't play a lot of it. You know what I mean? We play like the same mix of 25 songs, but our set list is usually, you know, 13 to 15 songs, so we could mix it up usually. But yeah, I mean there's like 5 or 6 songs we kind of have to play every show. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
people would like get back on stage and play
Yeah.
those. Yeah, those
Now
are great ones.
we're being
I know the ones
pretty
you're referring to too, and those ones are great ones though.
we're pretty good about trying to spread it through the catalog, like at least do a couple from each record.
Cool. You brace, please break it up. Do you ever look at like streams? Like on Spotify or Apple, or I mean, not really Apple, but Spotify. If like you're playing outside of New York or you're going somewhere and you're like, oh wow, we're in Pennsylvania. This song seems to be streaming pretty well here. Do you look at that or not at all? You go by feel.
No, not really. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I said, it's like Phil has a usually pretty good idea of the set list, and unless like LeBrano's like, oh, I don't want to do that song, or I'm like, I'm not into that song, or whatever. It's we keep it pretty stock,
Cool.
honestly.
Mhm. Are there songs that you wish you would play more that you haven't played in a while?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Mhm.
None I can think of off the top of my head, but I mean, and it's like if we play like weird deep cuts and stuff like that. You know, if we'll play a song for a bit and it seems like a lull in the set, we'll kind of like move on from it. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
the set is pretty high energy,
Yeah. It is.
so especially from the crowd and stuff. So we really just try and keep that momentum going. Give the
Cool.
people what they want.
Exactly. Right. Awesome. Um, so adult magic, you brought that up, and I wanted to talk about that next with it. So that you had your first, was it the first? Well, you had an EP that came out prior to that, but adult magic also had the record out in 2019. That came out, right? You're self-titled.
Yeah.
And then you had your EP. So how did Adult Magic come together? Because you're obviously working, you were working with, you were playing with Iron Chic. You guys were kind of in the heart of it. How did Adult Magic come about?
Well, it kind of came out. I've been playing with the drummer of Adult Magic, Chris, for a long time. We did a band Crowbait together, who did a couple of records, and he and the other guy, Sal from Crowbait, were from a band called Sister Kisser that, Iron Cheek has pretty rich history with. They were on Dead Broke. Once again, it's all,
All together.
pretty,
It's all related.
pretty incestuous.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was playing with Chris and Crowbait for a while, and that kind of fizzled out. And, I wanted to keep playing with Chris. Uh, but then I really wanted to start a band with Jesse because I had become friends with him, and I was like really into Broadcaster, his band. And me and Jesse just kind of started a band and went through a drummer or two in the beginning before we just knew, all right, we just have to get Chris for this band. Like it just makes sense. So that just kind of came together kind of naturally. Um, and yeah, that we're trying to do that a little more now. Like I said, we just finished the second album that we recorded here. And yeah, it's just kind of like a side outlet for me to be able to write lyrics, sing, do like that, bring my own songs and stuff like that. Like I've always, when I played in Chic, have always been in one, two, three other bands, just writing my own music too. Always,
Yeah.
it's important to me to keep that outlet as well.
Super important. And it's cool with Adult Magic. Like it's like alt rock punk, super chunkish kind of thing, but your own style. It's really good. And it's
Thank
crazy
you.
that last album was 6 years ago. That's crazy. Like it's actually doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we've been working on this last one for a while. We've been working real hard on it too. So I'm really, really psyched about it. I think we're probably gonna finish it Sunday. We just have like
Oh wow.
a tiny bit of mixing left, some samples and shit like that, and they'll be done. So hopefully that'll be out either by the end of this year or early next year on Dead Broke, of course.
I was gonna say, yeah, it has to be Dead Broke, I would think, right?
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
first one. Now, you guys writing that, you kind of alluded to it before, but was it like, okay, we have to get an album out, or you guys have just because it sounds like you're a semi-active band, right? It's just it kind of like fits the need of some of the things that you were describing, right? You're in with Iron Chic, you're playing, but then you're writing, you're doing lyrics with this band and stuff like that. But was it a slow process in terms of writing this, or was it like, okay, let's what was it? What made you guys all right? Let's get this thing out end of 2025, early 26.
Really, it's just the Iron Cheek slowing down. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like we always did this band whenever we could in between Iron Cheek being on tour, but there's been a long time that has passed since the last Iron Cheek record, but people give a shit that it's been almost 10 years since we've released an album, but we also toured on that album for a few years,
Yeah,
6 to 8 months out of the year.
it's a
You know
lot.
what I mean? We toured on that album a good 2 3 years, and we went hard. We went all over the world for it. And then the pandemic hit. You know what I mean? And that kind of changed everything. Where we were relying on this band uh, to live and stuff like that too, on top of what we were doing, and then we couldn't do it anymore. So we kind of had to. We all had a major life change, like kind of during the pandemic, and then we came out of it, and the band's kind of something different now, but it still exists, but it's not. We're not out there 6 months a year anymore. I don't think we want to be either, honestly.
Yeah, yeah,
When
you're
we
right.
have when we have we burnt ourselves out pretty. I can say that we burnt ourselves out, and it's nice to just do it on our own terms right now, because at the end we were just touring there because it was just like that's what we were just doing for so long.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think at the end of that, everybody needed a rest. So we were taking a rest before the pandemic anyway, but we just didn't expect it to go on for years.
That's what it ended up doing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We were getting ready to take a rest anyway, because like I said, at that point we were fucking spent.
Yeah, you're burnt out. Yeah, and that's the worst kicks. You don't want to be burnt out while you're doing this. It's just not productive creatively, musically, all that
Yeah.
stuff.
And
Live.
like, so Adult Magic's always existed and done stuff when we could. And I think once Chic stopped touring as much, we really just started writing a ton of songs. We had a ton of songs for this album, and just trying to do more now since we have more downtime.
How many
And
songs do
Chic,
you think will be on the new album?
probably 10 or 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
then we have a bunch of other songs like, well, ideas left over. We'll probably get working on right away, doing more songs. So
See how I word this question. Out of the newer songs for this, which one's the oldest one? You know what I mean?
yeah,
You know
it's
what I'm
pretty
saying? Like
old.
which one
It's
was like,
pretty old,
which one did you write
honestly.
in 2020? You know, or
Yeah,
2021?
probably. There's probably a song or two from 2020, 2021, something like
Mhm.
that. Yeah, there's definitely a song or two that's pretty old.
Yeah.
Because like I
Now,
said, we've been recording and working on this record here in my basement for at least a year and a half. So
but like you said, on your terms and your time, which is nice. It's not like you are the label, so it's not like you're giving Adult Magic a hard time with getting it out. You get it out when you get it out.
yeah, and at the end of the day, we're making it for ourselves, man. You know,
Exactly.
like we know nobody's sitting there fucking clamoring for it. So it's like, you know what I mean? We're just making a record because this is like what we'd like to do, you know? If
Now, when
people
you
want to
guys
listen to it, that's a bonus, you know?
Yeah, no, people are definitely excited to hear it. So, like, when you guys were making this when you guys were working on this record, or you had these new songs, right, from a couple years ago, Adult Magic obviously played shows. So, you're obviously playing off that first album, probably some stuff off the EP. Were you during your set list for these shows playing these new songs to try them out, test them
For
out, or you
sure,
just
yeah,
no, you
yeah.
didn't want to do that?
No, we were, yeah, we've definitely been playing a few of them for a bit now.
Cool.
Yeah, to at least two of them for a while now, yeah.
Yeah, I always like that. It always kind of gives like that live vibe, gives an idea. Because a lot of times, like you write new stuff, you hear it, you think it's like, all right, you're excited about it, but it's cool when people hear it live and you get to kind of see their reaction with it, which probably I don't know if you guys are there yet with album track lists for this new album, but sometimes that could come into play where you hear songs and the way people are reacting to it live can maybe help how you formulate the album track list.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. It's interesting too. I think it's definitely a good exercise in trying out a new song because playing shit live, I know even with Chic, like we play shit way different than the records. Like over
Yeah,
time, you start to do things differently and adjust things to maybe how you wanted to do it, or you think that it's better. You know what I mean? So
it's
it's
100%.
definitely
Yeah.
is a good, and it was cool because we were playing them while we were recording it, so yeah, we could feel certain things out, especially with the three vocals and stuff like that. So we all three of us sing, and so yeah.
So same thing as I was asking you with Iron Chic, it was is Adult Magic and the set list. So there's songs when you put your set list together, you have the album, you have some new stuff. Are there songs on the new on the older album, we'll call it the old album now, that you're not playing? Like you won't play that you wish you would play live now.
Yeah, there's one that I sing that we've really never played live because I just like, I don't know, I just I just kept saying no. I just couldn't get the chorus part down live or something like that. It was weird for me, but I really want to bring that back into the set list. I don't
Cool.
even know the fucking name of it. But yeah, I mean there's songs that we definitely like haven't really played much. Yeah. But
Mhm.
I mean it's different too because it's like, right, we just have like kind of like two EPs and an album, so it's like a lot less songs to pick from, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
we generally tend to play them all, but there's a couple that we don't.
That
Yeah.
you don't sometimes. And now when you have this new record, you're gonna have to obviously make decisions with what you do. I mean, obviously
Yeah,
you're gonna
definitely.
play you're gonna play Aiken, obviously, you're gonna play that, but other songs are, you may have to, they may not make it, unfortunately.
Yeah, which is okay because we've been playing them long enough by now.
So no, it's exciting with that. So like let's go into Dead Broke Records now. So is it 22, 23 years, 24? I'm kind of right? Like you just had
Yeah,
a Dead Broke Records
2002.
show just recently.
Yeah,
Well, not just
2000
recently, but
2002. So last year we did the
last year.
23rd, I think I was. Yeah, 23rd anniversary show. Because I was actually planning that so long that I was planning it since the 18th birthday
Wow.
because it was pre-pandemic. So the pandemic came and shot that, and then it went. By the time it actually wound up happening, it was 23, which was kind of appropriate for the label, just kind of all over the fucking place. People are like, why 23? I'm like, I don't know, why not?
Yeah, why not? I actually thought that was awesome,
What am I
and
gonna wait till 25?
no, you had great bands on it. Obviously, you put on there. You actually, you know what? Before we get to Dead Broke Records, quick, it's like you put that show together. You put Wildfest together. There was four, right? After the fourth, that was it, right? 2020. Obviously, COVID hit. You couldn't
I
do it.
think there was a. I think there was a five. I think there was a Wildfest five. I feel crazy that I don't even know that, but there was, yeah, there was definitely at least four. Yeah,
Yeah, and I
it's
know
hard for me to remember.
it was with Kill. Yeah, we were with Killer Idols and Roll Them All. Yeah, that was the day we played. You guys played the second date. But you like, it seems like you like putting shows together, right? Do you enjoy it? Is it like, or it because that could be stressful. I did that back in the late 90s, mid
It's a
90s.
love-hate relationship. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. So it's like, you did. Now, was it always with you at the Dead Broke Records? Was that always like, okay, I'm going to put a show together? Like you wanted to do that, And so,
yeah. I think it applies to the label. I think it applies to shows where it's just like I come from that world where nobody gave a fuck about the bands I was doing back then. Nobody was booking us. Nobody was putting out our records. So, in the name of DIY, if you're not going to do it for yourself, how can you expect other people to do it, right?
right,
So I
right,
always encourage bands, release your own record, book your own shows, because you shouldn't sit around and wait for somebody else to do it for you. So it was just like I became a creature of habit with it after so many years. Even when, say, it was a necessity anymore, but now it's become my entire life. You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah. So let's talk Dead Broke here. What inspired you to start it? You know?
Yeah, I mean, mainly that, mainly, wanting to just show people the music that I was doing, show people the music that my friends were doing, because I didn't, uh, I thought it was good, and I saw other people around me and other labels that I grew up collecting records from and stuff like that, and it just kind of started with CDRs and tapes and stuff like that, and I don't even think I got to vinyl till my, I want to say like 12th or 13th release.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, just feeling inspired by other people doing it, and really just wanting to document a moment, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And you do that for sure. So how do you decide? Well, you kind of alluded to it, but you know, you out at like you going to AMH for shows and scouting this young band, like, or is it just word of mouth, what you hear now? I mean, now you could stream stuff, left and right. So it's a lot easier well, now we've been doing that for a long time, but to get bands. So how do you decide what bands to work on? Is it more of is it sound, message? Is it something else, or you look, or just a feel you get when you're looking at a band, or you get a band that you're working with?
Yeah, I've never looked for bands. I've never scouted
Mhm.
bands. I just think immersing myself in DIY culture and punk for so long led me to become friends with so many talented people and a lot of people that I'm a fan of their bands, booking shows for their bands. It's just forever. It's always predominantly the releases are my friends. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's
Where
cool.
where people I know. I mean, there's definitely tons of records I've put out of people I didn't know that are now my friends. But yeah, I generally my number one rule, besides no hateful shit, no sexist shit, no homophobic, racist, any bullshit like that, automatically off the table. That's
Right.
been my golden standard since day one. And number two, I have to like it.
Of course.
I can honestly say in over 260 releases, I've never put out something I didn't like,
Mhm.
and that's always been very important to me. I just have to really like it. That's my only guideline. You know what I mean? I don't give a shit if it sells. That's clear. Kind of stuff that I put out sometimes. Uh, and and even now, I've put myself in a position where I've been able to reissue a lot of my favorite records growing up.
Right.
And bands that really spoke to me and really touched me and inspired me. I've been able to like reissue those bands and like kind of pass the torch on those records for another generation, or people who can't afford it because the record's $300. Like punk is supposed to be accessible to everyone. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So if a record is going for $300, like that's, I'm big about keeping things around so that they're documented. I don't.
Yeah.
It's just yeah.
That's awesome. Now, are there any releases you've put out that you feel were like, I don't know if overlook's the right word, but maybe underrated, like, or I don't know if underrated is the right word. It's just that we're like, wow, like this, like maybe it should have got a little more of its due. Because a lot of times with music, man, and it's timing. It's just timing, and there's a little luck involved sometimes. So like, I was just wondering, are there any bands that you put out, you're like, oh,
I'd honestly, it's sad to say, but probably like 80% of the shit that I release, I think is underrated, and I think it's great. And that's why I put it out. And most things I lose on. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Most records I still lose on, but I've after so many years figured out a way to keep it trucking with the distro and doing reissues and things like that. And the pillars of the label, like the Not Like Thises and the records that have sold tons of copies, all those things help put out those unknown bands and those records that may not break even. But as of recently, I could say in the last year, I'd say this Evening Standards record I did was really good, and I felt like people kind of slept on that a little bit. Gainesville band, old friends of mine. Um, yeah, I mean, luckily the last couple things have all been doing pretty well. And then I'd say the new album from your Pest band that just came out a few months ago, from Japan. They just came over here. They've been around 15 years, probably our third or fourth album together. Just really solid rock and roll that I feel like people might be sleeping on.
boom. Now, now you have the distro and then you reissue some stuff. You said some older bands that helps with that. But how it's like, what do you see because remember, you started this 23 years ago. So streaming really wasn't a thing then or at all. So
Right.
streaming's different now. It's accessible to everyone. You go on your phone, you can listen to anything you want. So do you find a challenge running a label with that, with the streaming?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I used to press 500 of everything. Now I'm down to 200 on most things. And I think a lot of labels are going much smaller runs. It's just, the price of vinyl has gotten insane, and
Oh, it's
yeah, it's
crazy.
it's
It
it's
is.
just,
Yeah.
streaming definitely, it affects it. It's very few and far between a band makes royalties off streaming, and a lot of people don't realize that, especially now. Spotify has, demonetized anything under 1,000 plays, which means you don't even get paid at all.
Yeah.
And that's a vast majority of our catalog. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, we're doing serious fucking streaming numbers on everything. These are DIY punk bands that sell a couple hundred records,
Mhm.
So yeah, it definitely, I think as much as it's a tool that it helps people learn about bands a lot easier these days, it's definitely hurt it just as much. I mean, I think that goes all the way up to the mainstream music industry. It's why shows are $300 fucking
Yeah.
now, and bands sell T-shirts for $100 or $50 because no one's making money off royalties.
Nobody. Yeah, unless you're Taylor Swift, right? So, so what's some future projects that you have with the label? That you have some bands coming out? Anything? Any splits? Any vinyl? Any?
Yeah, I have at least 1 to 2 LPs coming out every month for the rest of the year. So
Wow.
it's actually a really, really busy year. The next couple things coming out, I have a reissue of this band Sinkhole
Oh,
coming out. Members of Doc Hopper and stuff like that, who I just
you were on the Wild Fest show. I remember that name.
yeah,
I
yeah,
remember
they
that
did a
name.
reunion at Wildfest too. Uh, yeah, I'm doing a Hellbender reissue. Just a couple old '90s bands, and then we got some cool new records coming out. Diaz Brothers, Making Out. New Moving Targets record, lot of stuff. Very busy year.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you look ahead to the following year, or are you just like, let me get through this year first?
I've shelved a couple things to go to the following
Okay.
year because it started to get a little crazy. You know, in my most in my most lunatic stage, I was releasing 30 records a year. So I try not to do that anymore because that's crazy. I try and stick to like 10 or 12, but this is going to be a pretty busy year. So yeah, some stuff has definitely gotten folded over into next year.
Cool. So I guess to sum up, you kind of mentioned with Iron Chic and Adult Magic and Dead Broke. So what's the future look like? Is this something you could see running with for the foreseeable future? You love it. It's very obvious you love it just from talking with you. That you love doing all these things, and you have new stuff, definitely with Adult Magic, hopefully with Chic, and obviously you have a lot going on within, let's just say, the next year with Dead Broke Records. So what does the future look like for all three of these projects?
Hopefully new records from both bands, and Dead Broke is my between the distro and selling on various outlets, Discogs, eBay, whatnot. I mean, I do it full time.
Awesome.
I sell records full time, so just continue to do that till I'm dead in the dirt, I guess. You know what I mean? I guess the eventual retirement plan is maybe a shop or something like that, but when I came my closest to that, I'm glad I didn't do it because it was right before the pandemic, and I probably would have ate shit. So,
Yeah,
but that's the eventual plan one day. I mean, that's like 20 plus years in the making. But
cool.
yeah, just selling records, new albums from both bands, and just I like to call myself a lifer. I'll be doing this forever.
It's awesome, man. Now, do you see with I don't know if Adult Magic you play shows, but like Iron Chick, like if a Chic comes out, new album, um, would you tour like a full tour? Would you do
Yeah,
that?
definitely. I mean,
Yeah,
I think the tours would look different now. I think it's like little area blasts where we fly out to the West Coast and do a week, or
yeah,
fly out to the Midwest and do a week. Like that's kind of what we're doing now. We just did a few dates on the East Coast with Sam I Am and Toys That Kill, and we were also out on the West Coast for a couple of days. So like we'll definitely tour. I mean, there's some talk about Japan and stuff like that. So we really want to get back to Europe again. We've been there 7, 8 times. So we'll definitely be touring for the next record. I just think it might look a little different than previously. I don't think it's going to be like no
2 months.
6 week
Yeah,
tour or 7 week, 10 week tour. But we're going to definitely support it.
yeah. Are there some things you're holding on to in anticipation for the new album in terms of places to go?
I think everywhere. Yeah, we've just been kind of laying low and doing little blasts when they come up or make sense. Just trying to really the last year. Um, get headfirst into this record. But life,
Yeah,
Phil has a baby now. People have different jobs and live in different places. So like you said, as you get older, things take a lot longer
a
to
lot longer.
do. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's pretty universal.
For sure, for sure. No, it's like to hear all the new stuff from both bands. So I guess one last question, then we'll get into. I have a list of questions, and you give me your first response. But this
Sure.
one, if you can go back in time and speak to young Mike, what advice would you give yourself as a teenager?
Uh, don't start it right now. I'm just kidding. No, I honestly would say don't sweat the small shit. I would say, just keep your head straight, and continue on your path, because
Mhm.
because this is so personal to me, and to my life. I take things over the years sometimes a little too to heart. So I would say don't sweat the small shit. That's what I
No,
would say.
a majority of people that have been on here have essentially said that. I
Yeah.
can't tell you, even me too. It's like you would overanalyze every little thing at that age, which sometimes it's good, but a lot of times it wasn't. So I agree.
Yeah.
I agree for sure. So, a few questions here. Now, you could elaborate on these. So, it's first thing that comes to mind, but if you want to explain, you obviously keep going. Um, this might be hard because I know this festival is near and dear to you in terms of how you put it together. But what's your favorite Wild Fest that you organized?
Probably the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just, it just it was just a moment. It was, a feeling, of a bunch of people close, the community wounded coming together. You know what I mean? It was, they were all really special, but yeah, definitely the first one.
Yeah, the first one was me. Did you know after that one or when you were organizing the first one that like, okay, we'll do this next year, we'll do this the year after, or it just kind of what
No,
made you hit two? Like, are you like after you one, you were like, let's do two? Like, did you start planning it that after? Like, or it just kind of came
I think just the the interest, how it sold out, how there were so many bands
that
that
one?
knew
Yeah,
Rob and that wanted to play, and how there were so many bands that I felt like should have played that didn't because I was could only book so many. You know what I mean?
of course.
But yeah, just wanting to continue to help Rob's family. Really,
Yeah.
that was the main driving goal the whole time.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. It was awesome. Those fests. Favorite tour you've been on?
Oh boy, that's hard.
Hmm.
That's a hard
It could be a
favorite
couple. If
tour.
you have a couple,
Yeah.
that's
I
completely fine.
mean, we've had some really great times in Europe, This last little run that we just did with Sam I Am and Toys That Kill were probably some of the best shows we've ever played. And
Awesome.
anytime Propaganda's taken us out, which was a couple times, it's always been sick,
Mhm.
obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Cool. Favorite state to play outside of New York?
Chicago.
Yep,
I'll get right to the city, Chicago.
Chicago. Cool.
Yeah.
Favorite venue to play? There could be a few.
Favorite venue to play. Ugh. Um, I don't know. I do really love playing the VFW hall here. That's really I wouldn't call it my favorite venue, but I mean it's obviously nostalgia.
Yeah.
And I don't know, favorite venue to play. It's hard. It's hard to say. I mean we've played 7th Street Entry and First Avenue in Minneapolis, which is like pretty
That's cool.
legendary.
Yeah.
That was really cool. Definitely.
Mhm. Awesome. Favorite show you've attended?
Um, I'm a huge Cure fan, so pretty much any time I go see the Cure, is just always, I think, one of the best live shows. The Replacements reunion I first saw it when they first reunited at Forest Hills. That was
Oh, cool.
incredible. They were one of my favorite bands. And yeah, I mean, probably not seeing Nine Inch Nails, honestly.
Uh-huh.
One of the best live shows the Nine Inch Nails and The Cure I'll see anytime they come around, just because I think they're the best.
Awesome. A song that you wrote that you're most proud of?
A song I wrote, I probably Demotivation off the first Adult Magic album.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So,
probably that.
favorite Iron Chic record?
Uh, it's hard.
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to go with Not Like This.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go with the
Good
first
one.
one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Favorite older Long Island venue?
Favorite older Long Island Roadhouse pub.
Yeah, you have to go back to
I
where you
mean,
started with it. Yeah.
it sucked ass, but I wouldn't be here talking to you if it wasn't for it. So
I mean, right. It's meaningful, those places. That was
yeah,
like, Dr. Shays for us and me, and like we
sure,
would play there and put shows together, and it
sure.
was such a hole in the wall, that place, but awesome at the same time. It was like the intermediate between the PWAC and Deja One at that point in time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I kind of think where you're gonna go with this because you named a few bands here, but maybe not. Your top 3 albums of all time
Albums. Oof.
or influential. Let's go influential, maybe help a little bit.
Okay, yeah, that's a
Because
little.
albums can range like where you're at, like what you're listening to and all that
Yeah,
kind of
I
stuff.
mean, obviously, I'm gonna go with Dookie. You know,
Great record.
Green Day, Dookie. It's the reason it all happened for me.
That I know I'm
Uh,
asking you, but that Kerplunk, I love the earlier stuff from them. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean that's the best. Kerplunk is the best Green Day
Yeah,
record, but I Dookie was the one that was the
did
first
it.
punk
It
record,
did it. Yep.
So
Mhm.
uh influential, probably I'm gonna have to definitely say Leatherface Mush.
Mm.
Uh Huge record for me. One of my top records of all time. And The Cure, Disintegration. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew
Definitely.
you were gonna definitely mention The Cure. I had a feeling after what you
Yeah.
just said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Favorite. Now you've put a lot out.
Oh boy.
Dead Broke Records release.
I mean, it seems corny to even say it, but I have to say Not Like This because that record changed my life.
No, not at all. Makes sense.
It changed everything for the label, it changed everything for the band. It's going on fucking, I don't know, 10,000 copies sold, so
It's sick. Yeah.
it's definitely that, yeah.
Cool. Awesome. A band or artist that you like that may surprise people.
Playboy Cardi.
Okay.
I love like trap music. I'm pretty much open book with what I like, but I'm really big into hip hop. I like a lot of modern trap hip hop that older people tend to hate on. So yeah, probably that.
Cool. What did you listen to last?
What did I listen to last? This Hellbender Test Pressing and
Probably good. You have a lot of
Ghost.
new releases, so probably
We're
all that stuff.
Yeah, we're in the office right now. So yeah, the Hellbender Test Pressing and Ghostface Killer Supreme Clientele.
Awesome. What are some new bands you like?
Some new bands I like. Oh boy, it's hard. It's hard to be unbiased about it and not. I'm gonna go with like try and not name any bands on the label.
Hmm.
So I'll start with that. I mean, some friends are playing in a band called Grassface from Chicago who are really awesome. Um, there's a French all-girl power pop band, La Valda Avida. I don't even know how to say the name, but I'm really liking that record a lot. Yeah, it's. Yeah, I'm just looking around. I don't know. It's hard to say. I listen to so much music all day, every day. So,
Cool. Mhm. All right. One more here. Well, almost one more. Performing or writing?
uh, I guess it depends on the day, but um, probably probably playing a show.
Playing a show?
I do really like writing. I do really like the process of it, but yeah, playing a show is a different thing.
Yeah, it's just like nothing beats it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, then okay. So then playing a show or running your label, which is like such a complete opposite of a question to ask someone, but uh, if you're
Uh,
clearly passionate about that too. I mean, you've been doing this for 23 years now, so
yeah. Like I said, I wake up and go to sleep doing this. So it is, it's a pleasure, but it is work. You know what I mean? It
oh,
is work. It's but I mean it's like my work to me. So I'll go with playing a show. Definitely, it's definitely not as stressful.
awesome. Mike, thank you, man. Anything you want to end with?
No, man. I thanks a lot for having me. It's really cool, and yeah, definitely check out the label this year because, like I said, a lot going on. So, and hopefully, I'll do a Dead Broke 25-year show. We'll see.
You definitely will. That's awesome, man. It's going to be here before you know it. That's how quick things move. So
I know, dude.
awesome, Mike. All right, hang tight. I'm going to end this off here, okay? All right. Thank you for listening to the What Lies Ahead podcast, which is available on all streaming platforms. Go save the What Lies Ahead podcast playlist on Spotify that features all bands that were on the show. For more information on future episodes, you can go to my Instagram account and follow at What Lies Ahead _podcast and on Facebook by searching What Lies Ahead podcast. See you on the next episode.